All right, let's listen to it for context.
I think Christianity is a joke. I think it's a joke of a religion. If someone were to ask me my religion, I would have to say, if I was to find God, it would have to be via Islam, because how am I going to go to a Christian church when they got gay pastors and shit? The Bible says no, and you're just ignoring it. What is this? It's not even a thing. Like, to me, it's a joke of a religion now. I think it's a joke. So if you're gonna bend all your own rules, if you're gonna be tolerant of everything and stand for nothing, then I don't think you have any. I think Christianity is a joke. I think.
Wow, that was a powerful statement.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful statement. There are people in every religion who bend their rules.
True.
But I see where he's coming from. So, I mean, and I get what he's saying. Islam seems to be one of the strictest. And they don't waver. We've become really fluffy in ours with, and making, like he said, bendable. Powerful statement.
I did do a reaction video to that, by the way, guys, which we're not gonna get into now.
Yeah.
Because I already reacted to it and I gave some perspective on things, and I talk about the wheat and the tares. You have to know the difference between the wheat and the tares.
Yeah. And that's the difference.
Not everything that's up here Christian is Christian.
Yeah. Just because they put the title on it doesn't make it so.
Absolutely not.
They called Jesus the devil.
Yeah. But
So just because they put a title on something, that may not be the actual foundation of it.
Well, you can understand why, because recently, this is recent news here. We're talking about July 16th. This is the reason why he speaks the way he does. And then we're going to flip and look at another side of the story here.
Right now, a pastor serving at Prince of Peace in Pickerington is making history. History he hopes to continue.
He started over.
Right now, a pastor serving at Prince of Peace in Pickerington is making history. History he hopes to continue through his congregation and beyond. 10 TV's Ashley Bernanson has Pastor Douglas Grace's message.
Oh, I can barely stop crying.
Pastor Douglas Grace says it's hard to dry his eyes as he cries tears of joy. Originally from Coshocton, Grace has made his way back to his home state. He most recently served in Washington, D.C. After 33 years in ministry, he is now officially ordained and says he's the first openly gay pastor in the Presbyterian Church in Greater Columbus.
It's okay to be who you are, and it's to be inclusive, and it's to be loving, and it's to be missional.
Grace says it was encouragement from a spiritual mentor who helped him make peace and share his sexual identity with the faith community.
Bishop Kelly said, if you're going to be a peacemaker, you got to be at peace.
While some continue to ask,
can you be gay and a man of faith?
Yes. I don't even know how to respond to that. Faith is what brought me out of the closet.
Grace says he is building his congregation on love above all else.
It's not about this political and politics and things. It's like, have you actually read the Bible?
Yeah. He says his 100-plus congregation is focused on nurturing the community from what he calls the COVID coma, fighting discrimination and serving those in poverty, together as one.
Jesus said, you got to be one. We have to be one.
Reverend Grace tells me with Intel making Central Ohio its new home base, he hopes to bring even more people into his inclusive congregation who are looking to grow in their faith.
Where do you think that the explosion of population and explosion of the need to be spiritually grounded is right here in Pickerington, Ohio?
He says he hopes this is a big step for the faith community, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
How do you still get teary-eyed, do you think? Like, what thoughts come to you?
Because of the hope. I mean, the hope and the fear that it's going to be taken away again.
In Pickerington, Ashley Bornanson, 10 TV News.
Here with more, author of
So, what do we do with that? He asked a good question. Have you read the Bible? I have. That's exactly the reason why that is not Bible. I can say of certainty, no matter how. You notice one thing about these churches, before I said that. This concept of love is overwhelmingly mentioned in their congregation.
Love and unity and
Inclusivity,
inclusion.
inclusion. There's a lot of love, but there's no law.
Love without law means to each his own, means you have a society that is void of boundaries, that chaos will come, because if you start to say that people have, when you start to validate, hi, Mr. E, hi, Renee. Renee, we would love to hear your testimony. Wow.
Hey,
And
Mr. E.
hi, Mr. E. Again,
Renee, if you feel like sharing that testimony, send me an email. Hit us on Discord, okay?
Yeah, I would love to hear your testimony.
We'll love to schedule you.
That's huge. And I would love to hear how you overcame, because I find it that I see some young people, some young boys who are 4 and 3, and you can literally see that feminine, the feminine characteristics overpower masculine. So I do believe this is something, like, we're born into sin, shaped in iniquity. So when people say, I was born this way, how can I change myself? I actually believe many of them. Some people, I think there's traumas, there's different things that happen, but there's others who I believe literally it's just in their blood, it's running through their veins, and they have just a higher propensity to carry out these feminine characteristics, and they tend to lean more towards liking the same person of the same gender. So I don't think it's just, I think it can just literally, people can be born that way. It's like some people have a higher propensity towards alcohol. 2 people can take the same drink. One person becomes an alcoholic, one person doesn't. Same with drugs, same with 2 people being raised in a full faith-filled family. My son's father and I were just talking about that, my oldest son, and they can go 2 separate directions. So it's just what is inside of a person is real, and we are born in sin. So I would absolutely love to hear.
You said propensity.
Yay! Thank you.
We would love to hear that testimony.
Said
Thank you.
she would love to share.
We'll
I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be so enlightening and empowering.
Absolutely.
So,
usually the testimonies on Saturday.
Yeah.
I know next Saturday we have. We'll talk in the email.
Yeah.
Propensity, not genes. Now we know genetically speaking, DNA speaking, if your family member were prone to a particular sin, it is in the genes. We understand that idea, right? Like this concept of, like you say, alcohol. It can be like if your mother was a drug addict, your father was a drug addict, these desires could be there. But the thing is, choosing to respond and give in to these desires is still a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got power to make decision over these things. You know what I'm saying? I can look at my father and blame my father for the person that he is, but the man that I choose to be is not my father's fault. That's what the Bible says. The son shall not pay for the sins of the father. So in other words, this idea of, what do they call that?
Born with it?
Yeah.
Is that what you kind of are
There's
saying?
a way
Not
that
necessarily.
Yeah, you may be born with a desire to
Born
do
with a higher
propensity. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to subject yourself to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we all have a will towards evil.
Absolutely.
We're born with that. We're born with a greater desire for evil than for good. It literally takes supernatural act of God for us to be able to be rid of sin in our lives.
One of the ways that I've heard it is there is inherited tendencies and there's cultivated tendencies.
Yeah.
So there are tendencies we have that we've inherited from our fathers, parents, whatever family line. But there's also tendencies we have that we've cultivated. We brought into our own lives by making certain decisions, watching certain movies, going certain places. We can create habits that are not good for us as well. But here's the thing that we also need to keep in mind. Jesus can give you victory no matter what. Yeah, so when you have a minister who is, call it all inclusive and everything, rather than to give the hope of the gospel for one to come out of that, is very deceitful.